Okay, awesome. So welcome everybody. Tonight we will be talking about quantum linguistics. This is where we go to that next level of thinking. Now, how many here, just a show of hands, have actually done some version of training when it comes to quantum linguistics? Yep, you've done some stuff? Awesome. So you will find a lot of this to be extremely simple. Okay, those of you that haven't studied any form of quantum linguistics, you will find that you will be like, oh my God, I have to learn more about this. Okay, just hang on a second, I'll admit some more people. All right. So quantum linguistics are questions. This is where we have that debate inside of our hypnosis/NLP community, where we're like, you don't need hypnosis, you just need NLP. This is where the debate comes in when it comes to quantum linguistics. So allow me to propose an argument to you all, if I may. Are you all up for that?
Yep.
Now, remember, these are rhetorical arguments. So argue all you want. There's no answer to it at the end of the day. It's just your personal belief. Avril's like, yeah, bring it on. Bring it on. Love it, darling. Love it. Okay, so hands up, how many people believe that you have a soul inside of you? Yep, you have a soul. Yep. And it's okay if you don't, like, it's completely okay. Okay. So let's just imagine, Carolyn's giving me a thumbs up. Now let's just imagine for just a moment that a soul is something that is inside a living thing. Would that be a correct statement?
Yeah.
So a rock doesn't have a soul. This plastic bottle doesn't have a soul. Would I be correct in saying that? Yep.
Yep.
So if a soul is part of a living thing, then that would lead to the argument that we are an entire community of souls, because we are made up of millions of cells, and every single cell inside your body is a living organism. So wouldn't we be in charge of a community of souls? Aren't we actually the higher being of ourselves? And Jackie White's just gone, fuck. Mind blown. This is what quantum linguistics does. It asks those questions to propose the answer to make the brain go, boop. That's what it does. Okay. So allow me to share my screen with you, and it doesn't matter whether you want to believe you're a community of souls or you don't have a soul or a rock have a soul, just whatever you want to do, okay? That's the whole point of quantum linguistics. So allow me to share my screen with you. So everybody can see my blue screen over there with the quantum linguistics page on it? Yep, awesome. Now, what I want you all to do is grab a pen and paper if you've got one close and handy, and I want you to write down something, doesn't matter what it is, but something that is a bit of a problem right now for you. It doesn't matter what it is, just a problem of some sort. So it could be you're eating too much chocolate, you don't know how to gain confidence, anything that you want at all, just a problem that you are personally having. Okay. And then we will come back to that by the time we get to the end of the session. So quantum linguistics is known as the movement of thought pattern. Just exactly what I was talking about a moment ago when I said that if all cells are living organisms, then that means we would be a community of cells. It's about moving thought patterns. And our mind can get stuck on an answer until the question is asked in a different way. This is also extremely apparent and extremely useful when we have a lot of people that have been controlled by their narcissistic partners or children that have been abused. Quantum linguistics forces the question to be asked in a different way. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing here today. When used correctly, quantum linguistics will help your client move to a place of resourcefulness. They've come to you because they've run out of resources. They're completely stumped. And as far as they're concerned, that doesn't work. I'm going to chuck it in the bin, delete it. But chances are it did work. They just didn't do it consistently enough to allow the results to grow. So this technique causes a client to become confused. We're deliberately causing confusion. And the confusion is deliberately caused because it makes us think even deeper on that much deeper level. It's simple, it's effective, and it's mind-blowing. Okay? So when would I use this technique? I use this technique on narrow-minded clients. Now, being narrow-minded is just a personal judgment. And those of you that came into the hedonic treadmill when I was teaching that and the confirmation bias, these are those kinds of clients. They're the kinds of clients that are continuously stuck in that loop of, I don't know, I can't, I won't. They have run out of those resources, and they're the kind of clients that are just, nah, you know what, I can never forgive. I can never let go. I can never. They've got that tunnel vision, and all they're focused on is the dark. Does that make sense to everybody? Yep. So these are the kind of clients that I use it on. I absolutely love using quantum linguistics when I'm out at a show or something like that, because you literally see a client's brain just go zzz, and then it defaults to zero. Like literally, if it could make a sound and then a smell, it would go zzz, and then poof with a little smell of smoke. You're like, oh, that one got burnt out. That's what would happen right there. Okay. So the first thing we do after you've greeted your client, et cetera, we need to define the problem as a simple concept, because when it's simple, we can solve it. We can't have something that is complex. It doesn't matter if you define 10 or 20 simple situations here over and over again. Make it simple. Okay, so for example, in the manual, a complex concept is I eat too much, I drink too much, I make the wrong choices. Well, we can't do that all in this one lot of questioning. We break it up. So a simple concept would, I make a lot of bad nutrition choices. Help your client come to that simple concept. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. Now, step 2, we move into questioning. Seriously, guys, as much as this session is booked out for an hour, this is the kind of stuff you can learn in 20 minutes and you're like, holy shit, I'm just going to do this straight away. Okay, so the second part is to move into questioning. Now, note that these questions must be asked in this way. We can't just wing these questions, okay? So when you get your head around them, because as you're learning them, they're very confusing as well. When you get your head around them, you will find that they will just roll off your tongue. So please, by all means, practice these questions or have them written down before you go into your client session. There is absolutely nothing wrong with having your iPad or a piece of paper there, jogging your mind of what you need to ask. Okay, I have done confusion hypnosis techniques and just dribbled shit out of my mouth and then gone, shit, where was I up to? Okay, have a piece of paper. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it. So once you get these questions in order, that's when you'll get some serious mind-blowing stuff going on. So the very first question you want to ask is known as a theorem question. A theorem question is something that is proved to be true. In their own mind, it is 100% true. It's non-negotiable. This is exactly what it is. This is the theorem question, the theory that they tell themselves, or their story, as sometimes we call it. So that very first question is, what would happen if you did? So for example, if our client was to have these bad nutrition choices, I would say to the client, what would happen if you did continue with these bad nutrition choices? That's how I would extend out on it. Okay, this is a theorem question where they are going, you know what, this is 100% true. There is no debating about it. Then the second question we want to ask is known as an inverse question. What would happen if you didn't? An inverse question is where you can ask multiple questions, all in different ways, and the answer is always the same. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yes.
That's what an inverse question is. So I am really, really notorious at inverse questions. I will say, you don't want any, do you? There's only one answer. Because if you answer one way, it means this. If you answer the other way, it means exactly the same thing. So I will say to someone, you don't want any ice cream, do you? Well, if they say yes, that means they don't want any. If they say no, that means they don't want any. That's what an inverse question is. That's where no matter the answer, it means the same thing. Then the third question we want to ask is a converse question. What would happen if you did? This is what we call a logical question that only has a logical answer to it. Now, how confusing is that, right? Has anybody else sort of gotten like, I can feel the brain fry coming in so slowly? Yeah. This is what we're doing here. So if my client came to me and they said they make bad nutrition choices, I would say, well, what would happen if you did make these bad choices? What would happen if you didn't make these bad choices? What wouldn't happen if you did make these bad choices? So what wouldn't happen if they did make the bad choices? So if it was a bad nutrition choice, what wouldn't happen is they wouldn't get healthy. Does that make sense to everybody? That's what we're asking here. And your client is literally going to sit there and get brain fried, just like you're feeling right now. Do not rush these questions, okay? Mia's like, I'm already there, darling. I'm already fried. Haven't even had any wine or anything like that. I need to. So that's what these questions, that's what's going to happen to your client. Do not rush them. Allow yourself to repeat the question so your client can understand, to dig deeper into the answers. Okay. Now, the fourth question is what we call a non-mirror image reverse question. That's a mouthful. Okay. So a non-mirror image reverse question. What wouldn't happen if you didn't? This is a big one where a lot of clients get stuck. So if it was bad nutrition choices, what wouldn't happen if you didn't have the bad nutrition choices? This is where they get the verbal diarrhea, because they're now tapping into resources. Now they're now tapping into resources of what they're not going to have if they don't do this. And 99% of the time, there's no answer. There is no answer whatsoever, because they're literally sitting there going, what wouldn't happen if I didn't eat bad? What wouldn't happen? What wouldn't happen if I didn't eat bad? Oh, these questions are just too hard. Let's just sit here until we find the answer. What wouldn't happen if we didn't eat bad? What wouldn't happen? And they'll get stuck in this loop. This is where it expands out, okay? So that is what we call a non-mirror image reverse question. Does anybody here know what a mirror question is? It's okay if you don't. Yeah, mirror, Fiona's onto it. Fiona's onto it. So a mirror question is a non-mirror question leaves no questions. There are no questions whatsoever, right? A mirror question leaves questions. So a great example of that is, why is it when we look into the mirror will reverse left and right, but it will not reverse up and down? Everybody's just gone again. So a mirror question leaves questions. A non-mirror question has no further questions. And it's one thing that is highly promoted when people do a TED talk. Always finish your talk with a non-mirror question, because if you have no questions, then that doesn't open yourself up for attack. So you're going to watch TED Talks a little bit differently nowadays, because they actually have a recipe that they follow. Okay. So that is what we call a non-mirror question. That at the end of it, when they find the answer, if they do, there are no more questions. Okay. Who else is confused? Yep. Don't worry. You're getting your head around it. You'll get your head around it. It's a matter of practice, this one. It really is. Okay. Then the fifth question you want to ask your client is what we call the awareness question. How have you failed to overcome the solution? We don't want to know how you failed with all of the problems. We want to know how you have failed to overcome the solution. One of the things that a lot of my clients come to me is they go, you know what, Trish, I've tried everything. And my answer is, have you tried succeeding? No, they haven't. And it stumps them every single time. So we want to sit there and want to go, so how have you failed to overcome the solution? Oh, well, I've been lazy. I get stressed. I like to eat chocolate, because this is where your truth comes out now. I used this system on a smoker once, and I did it so well on him that when we got to the question number 5, where I said, how have you failed to overcome the solution? He goes, oh, fucking hell, I'm only doing it because I want to impress a girl. And I'm like, thank you. Awesome. So now we know that you're going to have to come back at a better time when you've got some better leverage. Okay, because I knew right there was something in my gut that was telling me this guy wasn't fully committed and he wasn't telling me what it was. And the brain will just blurt it out because it's frustrated and it's confused. Okay, so we go to question number 5. How have you failed to overcome the solution? Write this all down. It's going to take a while for your client to come up with these resources because you're giving them some deeper level of thinking. Question number 6 is your responsibility question. Pretty obviously what a responsibility question is. It's all about resources. When will you stop it from being a limitation? At what stage do you decide the difference between the reason and the excuse? Where is the line? Has anybody else worked out where the line is between reasons and excuses? Because I haven't. I mean, if you find it, let me know. I mean, I'm still looking for that person that's normal that everybody keeps talking about. I'm still looking for that that situation where I'm getting there. When you find out where there is, let me know. I'd really like to know. That's what the quantum linguistics is all about. Okay, so let me go into an example for you. Okay, so this is how you will ask your questions. Do not overthink this too much because you're not seeking the answers here. You're just asking the questions and allowing your client to come up with the answers. I do not accept answers like, I don't know, or I can't, or anything like that. I keep nudging them to cause. Hi, Fiona. Do I use these questions for the first appointment with a client? No, this is one of those resources that you have in the bank. And when you have that client that's being really difficult, or you feel like you're not getting any results, or they've got that block and you can't get the right questions out to push past it, whip these out. Okay, whip these questions out because it'll stump them every single time. And one of two things will happen. Either the truth will come out, or they'll get frustrated and you can't help them with that block because they don't want to admit the block. Okay, 99.9% of the time, they get frustrated, they'll blurt out something, they'll start crying, they'll start telling me a story, and I'm like, and we're at cause, this is amazing. It's kind of like the waiter has come along and given me an extra dessert. I'm just like, woo, yay, score for Trish. Okay, so your client has come in. Remember, you are asking the question, so don't get wrapped up too much in the answers. Okay, so my client has come in and I would say to them, what would happen if you did continue to make a lot of bad nutrition choices? And I allow my client to answer. Then I would say to them, what would happen if you didn't continue to make a lot of bad nutrition choices? I allow my client to answer. What wouldn't happen if you did continue to make a lot of bad nutrition choices? And allow my client to answer. What wouldn't happen if you didn't continue to make a lot of bad nutrition choices? And I allow my client to answer. How have you failed to overcome the solution of choosing healthy choices? I allow my client to answer. When will you stop it from being a limitation? Allow my client to answer. Keep on nudging. I don't mind if I sit there and I ask the same question 10 times in a row. I am a broken record. because I need my client to tap into being resourceful. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. So from here, I give my client a piece of paper with all the questions on it and their answers, and then move into a hypnosis session using the answers that they have given me inside of the script work. That's what I'm doing here. So the first part of my script work is doing their theory. So for example, if I had a quit smoking client, I would take them into that relaxed state, and then I would use their own theory against them, where they've said, I can't stop smoking. And then I'd like, millions of people quit smoking every day, and you can too. You're debunking their own linguistic pattern. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
This is why I need the answers to come from the client, because this is the client's resources. Okay. And I would go through my entire script work based on the answers to these questions. When I do my future pacing, when will they stop this from being a limitation? That's where I put that in. That's in your future pacing stage, where they feel proud of themselves, where they've achieved what they've wanted to achieve. They've gone to that next level. Does that make sense? And that is exactly how I do it. What would happen if you did? What would happen if you didn't? What wouldn't happen if you did? What wouldn't happen if you didn't? How have you failed to overcome the solution? When will you stop it from being a limitation? And that's it. So what we're going to do is I will break you all up into breakout rooms, okay? Now, I want you to take that problem that you had at the start and talk to the other person, okay? So one will be therapist, one will be client, and then swap over. I'll pop in and out of the rooms as best as I can because we do have a lot of people here, okay? But literally blow your own mind to shit. Okay, wait till question 4 comes up and blow your own mind to shit. Do not rush with your questions with your client, and make sure that you keep it a simple problem, not too complex. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So how many
I
people
have
do I
a-
have here? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 24. All right. So I'm going to try and make these breakout rooms as best as I can. Okay, so I think I need 20 rooms. Let's see if I got that number right. No, I did not. Hang on, recreate. Now, if you don't want to have a practice, then pop out now. It's completely fine. You do not ever have to practice this stuff if you don't want to, okay? All right, so let me see that I got this right. All right, hang on a second. I am getting there, guys. There we go. A couple people popping out. All right, move to number 13. Okay. So I'm going to open up all the rooms now. Now, if you end up in a room on your own, relax. I'll move you somewhere else, okay? So jump into your rooms. There we go. That's it. So I don't know if Donna is there. All right, I will move Karen into room number 5. Move 4 and done. Okay, wonderful.
Oh, Mia, hi.
Hang on. Unmute.
There we go. That's
There you
better.
go. Nailed it.
No, I was just putting it in the chat. I have to share. I had such a breakthrough out of that.
Awesome.
I just wanted to share it partly because I'm bursting. I'm so excited, but also because it's a good demonstration of what might happen. And I so didn't expect it. I just expected a dry, practice. But my little simple problem was lack of confidence in business, and we went through the, what will happen, what won't happen. So basically, I'll succeed if I get over it, and I won't do well if I don't. But when we got to the how have you failed to overcome the solution, I just saw how stubborn I've been. Well, my first answer was, I haven't given up. So even though I lack confidence in business, I know somewhere there is a solution for this. And I do know that there's a way around it. And I just suddenly saw, in my stubbornness of lacking confidence in business, I have been equally stubborn in not giving up. And believing there's a solution to that somewhere. And it just completely opened the door that I can see the conflict really clearly, and both sides are equally stubborn. Like, I cannot give up, but also I've been so right about I can't be confident in business, even though I've been in business for years and years. I've just made it really hard for myself. And so it's very exciting. I feel like I can just do a little hypnosis on myself or a parts integration or something like that.
Absolutely.
And have a whole new place to stand. So thank you so much.
No worries, no worries. See, whenever you've got your own problem and you're stuck on this, do these questions with yourself. Okay? Quantum linguistic, your own brain. So to expand out on Rosie's saying as well with her stubbornness is also known as a masculine energy emotion. Okay, so the masculine energy is always responsible and in control and doing what needs to be done. But the thing is, we need masculine and feminine in order to have balance. So if we have masculine energy when it comes to the stubbornness of not succeeding, then masculine energy of the stubbornness in succeeding, we've got masculine and masculine. And what happens when we get masculine, masculine? We've got two bulls butting heads. One of these needs to drop into the feminine to come into the realization that we can have balance. Okay?
Wow.
And that's where we stop butting heads. That's where we come into acceptance. So, for example, you've been stubborn about succeeding and stubborn about not succeeding. Well, what if the stubborn about not succeeding went into the feminine and gave in to the stubbornness of succeeding? Just allowed it to take over and do what it needed to do responsibly. And that's where you'll get the balance and you will find your solution.
Lovely, Trish. Thank you.
Okay. All right, my darling angels, go and have a wonderful evening. Confuse the shit out of yourself. Quantum listic your brain. And I will catch you in the next one. The next one is all about trichomania and nail biting. And I will show you the exact systems that I use, and I will take you through all of the scripts, absolutely all of the anchoring, and absolutely everything that I do. So watch out for that email or look it up on my webpage, pellenandpalmer.com. All right, lovelies, go and have an amazing night. See ya.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.